Last week's video talked about the normal cycles of motivations as you work to repay your student loans. If you're looking to ramp up your motivation, today's video is going to be all about hacks to move you from one stage of motivation to the next. I'll also share my journey through the stages of motivation. Hack number one is to allow yourself to pursue your curiosity and find out information without feeling obligated to take action. Early on, borrowers often feel a huge weight of indecision. There's too much information out there, and it seems impossible to make a choice. By approaching learning about your student loan debt with a sense of curiosity rather than feeling like you have to take an action, you can look into the stuff you've been wondering out and piece together the world of student loan debt without worrying that you're going to make the wrong choice. Hack number two is to make a decision about what you're going to do with your student loans. Once you've started collecting information, you're in the preparation phase. But if you want to move into the action phase, you need to know what it is you're going to be taking action on. If you don't know what it is you're going to do with your student loans, it's going to be tough to take actions. It's okay to have one or two different options that you start taking actions on. This is normal and can help you sort out which of these options is actually the best for you. Hack number three is to develop a plan that you can financially sustain and consistently work toward in the long run. If you want to maintain an action until you achieve your goal, you're going to have to be able to sustain it for a long time. If your repayment goal is too aggressive, an emergency might arise and trip you up. And if you have a failure because of that aggressive goal, it may cause you to lose motivation and slip into an earlier stage like contemplation, where you're just thinking about your loans rather than doing something about them. And the thing is, if you set a goal and find that it's not aggressive enough and you have enough room in your budget, you can always increase the intensity of that goal later on. The three hacks to increase your student loan motivation are: number one, pursue your curiosity and allow yourself to look into student loan debt without obligation to take an action. Hack number two is for after you've gathered information, and that is to make a decision about what you want to do with your student loans. And hack number three is all about maintaining that action you've already taken. To do this, you need to set a goal that you can financially sustain and consistently work toward in the long run. Now I'll talk about my journey through student loan debt. So during college, I was like most college students in that I cared enough about student loan debt to work to get scholarships and to work two jobs. That way I only had to borrow for tuition and books. However, I wasn't really motivated to even look at my total student loan debt balance on a regular basis. Basically, every semester when I borrowed, I would see it and know about how much I owed, but I never really cemented that number in my mind or worried about it for the future. So I would say that I was in the pre-contemplation stage while I was in college. However, immediately after I graduated, I moved quickly to contemplation, then preparation, then action. So I started out thinking that I could do a 10-year standard repayment plan because I realized I had accrued $10,000 of interest while I was in college on my unsubsidized federal loans. So I didn't want to make no payments while I was a resident because I knew the interest would accrue very quickly. I found out that the 10-year repayment plan monthly payment was $1,500 a month. And as a resident, I was making less than half the salary of a full-time pharmacist, and there was no way I could actually afford that monthly payment. I enrolled in the income-based repayment plan and had a required monthly payment of about $380 a month. I paid on extra on top of that and ended up paying about $6,000 that year, but my student loans still went up by $4,000. After residency, my student loans hit their peak at $132,000. So when I became a full-time pharmacist, I firmly was in the action phase. I decided I needed to take charge of my student loan debt and pay that off as quickly as I could. So I re-enrolled in the 10-year standard plan and paid extra on my student loans each month. I paid about $2,500 a month. So that first year, I paid almost $28,000 toward my student loans. Unfortunately, about $14,000 of that went only to interest. Again, I had to move into the preparation phase of motivation because obviously my repayment strategy wasn't working very well for me. I wasn't making the progress I wanted to, and that left me feeling unmotivated. So I started to look into refinancing. I ended up refinancing and halved my interest rate and set up a 5-year repayment term. So at that point, I had about $100,000 in student loans left. Each month, I decided that I would pay extra with the goal of paying about $3,000. However, my motivation kind of waxed and waned as I discovered now that I was a pharmacist, I had the cash flow to take vacations and do what I wanted to if I just skipped that extra monthly payment. So I did. For the next 2 years, I probably paid about $2,000 a month on my student loans. Now, that wasn't terrible, but that wasn't exactly the aggressive repayment plan I had wanted. Fast forward to 2018, and I looked at the amount of student loans that I had left and realized I could see the end of my student loan debt. Now I should be out by September of 2019. Currently, I'm in the maintenance phase. I have a repayment strategy that works for me. I pay at least $3,000 a month toward my student loans, and that will get me to my end goal of being out in September of 2019. I don't make excuses for not making that payment. That payment is now a priority, and I do it. As you can see, I'm just like every other borrower. My motivation has waxed and waned throughout my repayment journey. I couldn't always stick with my plan in the way that I wanted to. But in the end, I'm still going to beat student loan debt, and I will be student loan debt free by September of 2019. What'd you guys think? Did you find any of these hacks helpful? I'd like to know how your student loan repayment journey is going. Have you had ups and downs in your student loan motivation? I'd love to hear about it. Let me know in the comments below. If you liked this video, I would love it if you could give me a like and hit that subscribe button. And if you want to check out last week's video about the stages of change, you can check it out up here in the corner. We'll see you guys next week. Bye!